new Bali YouTube channel.
Imagine, just for a second, a single pop concert rolling into a mid-sized city and instantly generating $75 million for the local economy
Right.
in one single weekend. And that is not a typo. It is the kind of macroeconomic stimulus package that mayors literally spend their entire careers chasing.
Oh, absolutely.
And then
Yeah.
imagine doing that 79 times across 5 major continents. So welcome to today's deep dive. We are unpacking the sheer scale, the cultural weight, and the absolute economic tidal wave of the BTS 2026-2027 Arirang World Tour.
Yeah, and to really understand the stakes of what we are looking at today, we kind of have to rewind the clock a bit.
Sure.
Because this isn't just, another routine album cycle. For fans, this is the end of a very, very long drought. I mean, it is the first full group global tour for BTS in over 4 years.
Right, stretching all the way back to their 2022 Proof era.
Exactly. Before they stepped away for their mandatory military service. So you have half a decade of pent-up global anticipation just detonating all at once.
Which is wild to think about, because if you've ever bought a ticket to, a standard arena show, you probably think your job's pretty simple,
Yeah,
right?
if you buy your ticket, you sit down.
Exactly. You sit in your seat, you clap when the band plays the hits, and then you go home. The impact of the event basically begins and ends at the venue gates.
Yeah.
But the scope of this Arirang tour just completely shatters that model. I mean, we are looking at 79 confirmed shows spread across 4 cities and dates stretching deep into late 2027.
It's massive.
It's not a concert series. It's really a borderless cultural event.
And to truly comprehend the gravity of that event, we really have to look at what is happening inside the stadium itself. We have to examine what the army, right, have been waiting 4 years to actually see.
Right.
From both an artistic and a logistical standpoint, the spectacle they've built is just unprecedented.
So let's put ourselves right on the floor of the opening night at Goyang Stadium in South Korea.
Okay.
If you walk into that venue, you're immediately struck by the fact that you aren't looking at a traditional stage setup. Usually, the stage is shoved all the way down at one end of the football field.
Right, with the huge screens behind it.
Exactly. But here, they have built this massive 360-degree in-the-round panoramic stage right in the dead center.
Which is honestly a masterstroke for 2 very different reasons. I mean, practically speaking, an in-the-round setup eliminates the concept of a bad seat.
Oh, true.
There are literally no obstructed viewing angles, which allows the venue to maximize its seating capacity. But from a performance perspective, it fundamentally alters the power dynamic of the room.
Oh, so?
Well, the artists are completely surrounded by 70,000 people. There are no wings to retreat to, no backdrop to hide behind. It forces this level of absolute vulnerability that, frankly, bridges the physical distance between the performers and the crowd.
So it puts the fan literally at the center of the experience. And the show taking place on that stage is a massive undertaking. We are talking about an epic 3-hour, 23-song set list.
It's a marathon.
It really is. And looking at the breakdown of these tracks, what strikes me most is the architecture of the show. It's structured exactly like a 3-act blockbuster movie script.
Yes.
They are masterfully manipulating the energy in the room.
They really are. The narrative pacing is incredibly deliberate. So Act 1 is positioned as the return. They intentionally opened with tracks from their new album, right? Bringing out Hooligan and Aliens.
Right, so they aren't just relying on nostalgia right out of the gate.
Exactly. They are establishing their new reality first.
And then they hit you with Act 2, which is just pure adrenaline, the power set.
Oh, yeah.
They bring back the track, not today for the first time since, 2021?
1920, yeah.
And the specific musical transition they do from the new track, FYA, letting it seamlessly bleed straight into the relentless beat of their classic hit, Fire, it is completely engineered to push the crowd's heart rate to the absolute limit.
It's brilliant.
They build this massive wall of hype only to just intentionally wreck you emotionally during the encore.
Right. The emotional release at the end is where the real connection happens. They close the entire 3-hour marathon with this huge fireworks-laden reprise of Into the Sun.
Wow.
It's basically a cathartic, shared exhaustion between them and the fans.
And pulling off that level of emotional connection doesn't just rely on, perfect choreography. It relies on how they handle the imperfections.
Right.
We have to talk about the free comeback showcase they did at Gwanghwamun Square, specifically the fact that the group's leader, RM, was performing with a leg injury.
Yeah, that moment told us so much about the ethos of this entire tour.
Yeah.
Because Prior to the showcase, HYBE, their management company, they announced the injury. Now, typical industry protocol might dictate, I don't know, hiding the injured member, reducing his stage time, or even postponing the event entirely.
Sure.
Instead, RM performed the entire set from a stool situated right at the front corner of the stage.
And he still gave it absolutely everything, like engaging the crowd with this incredibly sharp upper body choreography.
Yeah, he didn't hold back at all.
And the fascinating part was watching the other 6 members. They didn't just, leave a glaring empty hole in their formations.
Right.
They fluidly adapted their blocking to create new asymmetrical shapes around him. It didn't feel like a compromise. It felt like a deliberate statement about unity and, resilience.
It completely reinforced the core narrative of their return.
Yeah.
They adapt and they move forward together.
Yeah.
And RM demonstrated just how present he was during the encore of that same showcase. While singing Microcosmos, which is a song that uses the imagery of stars to represent human lives, he actually modified a lyric on the fly.
Oh, right, the population thing.
Yes. The original track references 7 billion lights,
Mm-hmm.
based on the world's population at the time it was originally written.
Yeah.
But live on stage, he updated it to 8.48 billion lights.
It's such a passing detail, right? Maybe 2 seconds of stage time. But it speaks volumes about their global awareness. They are acknowledging exactly where the world is today.
Absolutely.
But this brings up a massive contradiction that I think we need to explore.
Okay.
Because we have this hyper-global awareness, yet the Arirang tour is aggressively, almost unapologetically localized to their specific cultural heritage.
Yeah, that is arguably the defining tension of this entire era for them. Because the tour is intrinsically tied to their 5th studio album, which is titled Arirang.
Right.
And for context, Arirang is a UNESCO-listed traditional Korean folk song. It is, without a doubt, the most recognizable piece of traditional Korean music in existence.
It's an anthem.
Exactly, a deeply historical anthem of sorrow, separation, and eventual reunion.
Okay, let me pause right there and just push back on this strategy for a second.
Sure.
If you look at the broader music industry right now, the push is entirely toward this, homogenized global pop sound.
Oh, 100%.
Producers are constantly advising artists to sand down their specific cultural markers, right? So their music can slide effortlessly onto playlists in Stockholm or Los Angeles or Tokyo.
Yeah, the algorithm-friendly approach.
Exactly. So why would the biggest musical act on the planet choose this exact moment to double down so heavily on traditional Korean roots?
It's a fantastic question, and honestly, it was the subject of intense internal debate. If you watch the Netflix documentary, BTS, The Return, there is actual footage of the creative meetings discussing this exact risk.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The chairman of HYBE, Bang Si-hyuk, is shown passionately arguing against that homogenized global pop trend.
Interesting.
His thesis was that authenticity is what actually translates across borders. He bet that having 70,000 international fans in a stadium all singing a traditional Korean folk song together wouldn't alienate the audience.
Right.
It would actually create a transcendent, almost spiritual mass sing-along.
So he basically bet that hyperspecificity creates universal connection. And looking at the staging, they embedded that specificity into the physical architecture of the show. That central pavilion on the 360-degree stage isn't just a generic structure.
No, not at all.
It is directly inspired by Gyeonggwaru, which is the historic royal banquet hall located at Gyeongbokgung Palace in Seoul. And the actual floor they're dancing on features the sweeping curves of the Taejik symbol from the South Korean flag.
And the visual details go even deeper than that. The backup dancers utilize these long, flowing fabric props that are heavily inspired by Sungmu, which is a traditional Korean Buddhist monk dance.
Wow.
The massive digital screens flash visuals pulling from traditional Korean mask designs. And returning to that Gyeongwamun Square showcase, the location itself is crucial.
Right, because it's not just a random public park.
Far from it. Gyeongwamun Square is the historical, civic, and cultural heart of Seoul. It sits right in front of the main royal palace gates. By choosing to hold their global comeback there, performing with a live folk ensemble dressed in traditional hanbok clothing, they were sending a crystal-clear message. They're acknowledging their status as global icons, while simultaneously anchoring their identity firmly in Korean soil.
So we have this beautifully crafted cultural spectacle playing out on a 360-degree stage. But pulling off that intimate emotional connection in a stadium of 70,000 people isn't just about set design or lyrical choices, right?
Right.
It requires physical, synchronized technology,
Yeah.
which brings us to the fans and the absolute necessity of the BTS Lightstick version 4.
Yes. The 2026 Special Edition Army Bomb.
Yes.
The integration of this specific piece of hardware is what physically pulls the audience into the performance. But it has also been a major point of friction.
Oh, for sure.
Because older versions of the Lightstick versions 1 through 3 will literally not work at these new shows.
Okay, wait, hold on. If I'm a fan who attended the 2022 shows and I bring my perfectly good Lightstick from a few years ago, you're telling me it just stays dark the whole 3 hours?
Yeah, basically.
Why? That seems incredibly frustrating for someone who has already spent a small fortune on tickets and travel.
It definitely caused a lot of frustration initially. But it isn't like an arbitrary cash grab. It comes down to a hard technological bottleneck.
Okay.
The level of stadium synchronization they are executing on the Arirang tour requires Bluetooth 5.0 firmware. The older models simply lack the processing capability to handle the data.
Break that down for us. What does Bluetooth 5.0 allow the production team to do that the old tech couldn't?
Well, it really comes down to the speed and the size of the data packets being transmitted. During the show, a central production computer is sending out signals to independently control the color and brightness of tens of thousands of individual light sticks.
At the exact same time.
Exactly. And older Bluetooth protocols have higher
Hello,
latency.
Buddy YouTube channel.
So if the lighting director tries to send a complex, fast-moving wave of purple light through the north end zone to the south, older light sticks would suffer a micro delay.
So it wouldn't be smooth.
Right. The wave would look jagged and out of sync. Bluetooth 5.0 allows for instantaneous, massive data transfer without the lag.
Okay, that makes sense. It's basically like taking a fandom ID card and crossing it with a stadium pixel.
That is exactly what it is. Think of a high-definition television. One individual pixel is basically useless, right? It just emits a tiny dot of light.
Yeah.
But when millions of them fire in perfect, instantaneous coordination, you get a crystal-clear image. By buying this light stick, the fan is physically paying to become a single pixel on HYB's giant 70,000-seat monitor.
But how does the venue actually know where each pixel is? Like, walk us through what a fan has to do before the music even starts.
So it requires proactive input from the fan. Using HYBE's proprietary fandom app, Weverse, the attendee essentially maps their physical location.
Okay.
You open the app, input your specific section, your row, and your seat number, and then pair it with your light stick. Through that process, you are handing over manual control of your device to the venue's lighting desk.
It is brilliant, but it also creates a massive social pressure to get it right, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you go online to save a few bucks and buy like a $20 fake light stick from an unverified seller, it might light up white in your living room, but it lacks the internal Bluetooth receiver.
Right.
So when the production team tries to turn the entire stadium into a pulsing ocean of blue, you are going to be a highly visible, dark, unsynced spot in your section.
Which totally ruins the communal art project.
Yeah.
And there's also a very practical chemical warning that fans have to heed with these things.
Oh, right, the batteries.
Yes. Once the show is over, you must physically remove the AAA batteries from the light stick. Because the Bluetooth receiver is constantly passively searching for a signal, it drains the batteries even when powered off.
Yikes.
If left inside, the batteries will inevitably leak acid, corrode the internal wiring, and completely destroy the tech.
So you have this massive, deeply passionate fan base. They are navigating new technology, mapping their seats, and investing heavily just to be an active participant in the spectacle.
Exactly.
And when you have that level of concentrated demand and financial investment, you inevitably get a frenzy. Which brings us to the final piece of this puzzle. The unprecedented economic boom and the logistical nightmares of the BTS effect.
Right, because the barrier to entry for this tour is incredibly high. Just to access the ticketing presales, fans are required to hold a paid Global Army membership through the Weverse platform.
Yeah.
And the extreme scarcity of these tickets creates an environment ripe for exploitation.
The scams are relentless.
They are highly coordinated. A recent incident in Singapore provides a pretty stark example. Within less than a week of ticket sales opening, desperate fans lost a combined total of at least 11,000 Singapore dollars.
Wow.
Yeah, bad actors were setting up fake profiles on X, formerly Twitter, and on Carousel, which is a popular local peer-to-peer marketplace app.
How are they extracting the money so quickly, though?
They preyed on the urgency of the fans. They would offer these highly coveted tickets and demand immediate payment via PayNow, which is an instant digital funds transfer service in Singapore that uses QR codes.
Oh, I see.
Once the fan scanned the code and the money instantly transferred, the seller would just delete their account and vanish. The money was completely untraceable.
It is so heartbreaking because it exploits people who just want to be part of that synchronized stadium experience.
Yes.
But when fans do navigate the gauntlet, secure real tickets and arrive in a host city legally and safely, the economic force they unleash is staggering. Let's look at what happened in El Paso, Texas.
The Sun Bowl shows in El Paso were historic on multiple fronts. Primarily, it marked the very first time a K-pop artist had ever headlined that specific stadium.
And what happens to a mid-sized American city when a tour of this magnitude suddenly drops in?
It essentially rewrites the local economy for a week. Yeah. The El Paso shows generated an estimated $75 million economic ripple effect for the region. And this wasn't just money contained within the stadium walls.
Right.
Local independent businesses were completely overwhelmed by the influx. Fuba Tea, a local boba shop, alongside several neighborhood pizza joints, reported shattering their all-time sales records.
It's incredible.
The city government even got involved, officially lighting their landmark Star on the Mountain in purple for an entire week to welcome the fans.
That is a staggering amount of money for just a few days. Do we have hard data explaining why this specific fandom outspends typical tourists by such a wide margin?
We do, actually, thanks to a comprehensive tourism analysis report released by the Korean government.
Okay.
They studied the behavioral economics of the BTS effect and found that foreign fans traveling for these shows basically operate as super consumers. So the baseline data shows that the average foreign tourist visiting South Korea stays for about 6.1 days, spending roughly 2.45 million won.
Okay, and how does the concert attendee compare to that?
A fan traveling internationally for a BTS concert stays an average of 8.7 days, and their spending jumps to 3.53 million won, which is roughly $2,500 per person.
What accounts for that extra time and money, though? I mean, they aren't just sitting in their hotel rooms waiting for the console doors to open.
Exactly. They are creating their own secondary economy. They organize cup sleeve events at local cafes. They rent out venues for fan parties. They book specialized tours of music video filming locations. And they absolutely flood local pop-up merchandise stores.
Wow.
The localized impact is staggering. The report noted that during the Seoul dates, credit card spending by foreign tourists in the immediate neighborhood surrounding the stadium experienced a 38-fold jump compared to the exact same week the previous year.
Wait, a 38-fold increase?
Yes, 38 times.
That single statistic completely reframes the conversation. Like, with data proving that these fans spend 38 times more in local neighborhoods than usual tourists, it makes me wonder, is the sheer economic force of the BTS effect permanently changing how global cities bid for and treat touring musical acts?
Without a doubt. Municipal governments no longer view a massive pop concert as, like, a nuisance event that causes traffic congestion. They view it as a highly lucrative economic stimulus.
Right.
Tourism boards are now proactively courting these tours. They are orchestrating citywide welcome weeks, funding extended operating hours for public transportation, and actively helping local businesses theme their storefronts to capture the incoming revenue. It has fundamentally elevated the relationship between municipal infrastructure and pop culture.
But of course, when you drop tens of thousands of super consumers into a concentrated area, the infrastructure is going to groan under the weight.
And El Paso certainly experienced the friction of that reality.
Yeah, the reports from the ground showed massive logistical bottlenecks. I mean, fans experienced 40 to 50-minute delays just trying to physically enter the Sun Bowl.
Yeah, it was tough.
You had a situation where 30,000 fans were all crowding the North Gate simultaneously. And combine that human crush with technical failures, where the venue's digital scanners were failing to properly read tickets stored on Android devices, and you have a recipe for severe infrastructure strain.
Which perfectly encapsulates the paradox of a mega fandom.
Right.
The sheer physical and digital weight of tens of thousands of people trying to move, sync, and authenticate as a single unit will always test the limits of whatever city is hosting them.
It really is a fascinating collision of forces. So let's step back and look at the massive picture we've unpacked today. We are tracking a tour crossing 5 continents with 79 shows. It is a masterclass in emotional pacing and artistic vulnerability, unapologetically broadcasting deeply traditional Korean cultural symbols from the Arirang folk song to historic royal architecture to a massive global audience.
Yeah, and it demands an unprecedented level of
Can you
technological
go back
participation from its
YouTube
audience,
channel?
requiring proprietary Bluetooth 5.0 hardware just to allow fans to physically integrate into the stadium's visual landscape.
And it leaves an economic footprint so immense that it single-handedly revitalizes local business districts by a factor of 38, forcing host cities to completely reimagine how they manage and welcome touring productions.
It is where art, high-level technology, and macroeconomics intersect on a global scale.
It truly is. And that leaves me with one final provocative thought for you to ponder on your own. We began this deep dive talking about a concert as a simple transaction. You hand over money, you get 2 hours of entertainment.
Right.
But if a music tour requires its own proprietary sync technology, if it features exclusive citizenship-like membership ecosystems just to gain entry, and if its mere presence can unilaterally alter a host city's GDP for an entire week, at what point does a touring artist stop being just a pop group and start acting like a borderless traveling nation?
That might just be the defining question of the modern entertainment era.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the Eric tour. The next time you see a stadium glowing purple against the night sky, just remember you aren't simply looking at a concert. You're looking at a moving empire. Catch you next time.